Good morning. No, I'm not saying it works.
I wish you
I'm just saying it
Godspeed.
happens.
I Godspeed with all of that. I think that's really, really nice. I'm not sure what kind of success you're going to have with that today, because the world, my friend, has changed.
Right.
Latin American construction workers, they have different needs. They have completely different needs.
These awards have a huge criteria that you have to fill out, and they usually have a community service or community relations portion.
Makes them, the most productive with a high performance value, and sometimes it's 11 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
Funny, isn't it? Yeah, not for me.
Not for me.
At 11 o'clock, I am guaranteed to be snoring. So. Good morning. It's morning huddle time. Chad Prinky here, along with my co-host and producer, Stacy Holzinger. Stacy, how are you doing this morning?
I'm doing good. I'm here with our friend, Tom Hughes, good friends with his wife, Allison.
How you doing today? Good morning, everybody.
Good morning. Good morning.
I'd be doing a lot better if the Eagles were 9-0, but
that's what I was about to. So you're in Philly. The Eagles were streaking, and the streak came to an end at the hands of the Washington, D.C. football Commanders.
The storied Commanders.
The storied Commanders. It's a yep.
Long history against the Commanders.
Get used to it. That's what I'm getting used to it. I was really settling into football team there for a while, but
it's actually a better name than the Commanders.
It's at least more descriptive. At least what do they do? There's no question what the football team does. So Tom joins us today to talk about practical applications of lean in construction, and lean is a concept that's been around for a long time. And really was born out of the manufacturing industry, and is something that's been applied successfully in various industries. Construction has been working to apply it, I believe, since the 80s. There are lots of things that we probably do that are normal today that were a part of lean methodology or lean philosophy, but there is so much room to grow, so much room to improve. And Tom has, I think, a really practical, down-to-earth story, a series of stories about how to apply lean in your world today. So if you're an audience member and you're hearing this, you're thinking, okay, I've heard lean, I don't know exactly what that pertains to. You're going to walk away today with some stuff that you really will be able to start to go and do. That'll help you to apply lean principles and get the gains that sort of stands for. So, Stacy, let's make sure that we get great interaction from our audience today. I'd love to have some audience questions in the last few minutes here. I will carefully put you on hold. Hopefully, I don't black out today like it happened last week. But and Tom and I will get rolling through this conversation.
All right, sounds good.
See you soon.
See you, Stace.
So Tom, first off, what's your story? What's your background? Give us a little, framework for who you are.
So I'm from the Philadelphia area. Grew up just right outside of Philadelphia in Bucks County. My father is a mechanical contractor, so I grew up working for him. When I was in high school, I went to Drexel University, got a degree in mechanical engineering. Moved on to get my mechanical PE. I realized while I was working as a mechanical engineer that, I didn't want to just be behind a desk all day. I wanted to be out in the field. I moved into a role of a field engineer where I was kind of involved in all of the trades, MEP, and I spent a lot of time out in the field. It was at that point where I switched over to the construction side. I was working for another EPCM firm, design build firm, which Genesis is also an EPCM firm. I joined the CM group, and I held a lot of different positions, from a construction manager or a superintendent to an assistant project manager, a project manager. I did some commissioning, which that's basically the startup of the equipment and systems.
Yep.
After the design and construction is complete, it's verifying that everything's installed and operates as per the design. Um, I'm the associate VP of construction here at Genesis AEC. We are a full AECM CQV firm here in Bluebell. We service the healthcare industry, or the life science industry. 90% of what we do is with pharma companies. We have 5 offices. We've got our office here in Bluebell, our home office. This is where our construction group operates out of. Our construction group is, mainly regional at the moment. We serve, basically the from New York down to Virginia, kind of the Atlantic region. We've got a small satellite office in Philadelphia, where we have young professionals, people that want to live and work in the city. A lot of architects and engineers working out of the Philadelphia office. We've got about 50 people in the Philadelphia office. We have a satellite office in Boston that we opened a few years ago. And then we also have services on the West Coast, where we have an office in San Francisco and an office in Carlsbad.
Fantastic. And
Yeah,
so today
people
I'm sorry, go ahead.
we about 370 people total.
Wonderful. That's fantastic. And you've been there for how long?
8 years.
8 years. Right on. So today you're working inside of this multiple discipline, really fully integrated, it sounds like, engineering and construction firm that, depending on where you are in the country, maybe it's engineering, maybe it's engineering and construction, right? It depends on where you are in terms of what skill sets the team has in different regions. So you mentioned that you're working a lot in healthcare and life sciences. And I'm interested in that space in particular. What makes, because, okay, so I'll say it this way. I don't think there certainly aren't a lot of, like, I don't know, multifamily, multiple disciplinary groups that build apartments in this fully comprehensive way where we handle the whole thing from soup to nuts, like there are in healthcare and life sciences. You're not the only one in your space that does it. What do you think is happening in healthcare and life sciences that makes, why are those owners more bought in or open to this?
So I think part of it is the speed to market for life sciences, right? You want to try and get everybody integrated together, get everybody working together early on to get a project through its execution cycle quicker. And you also have, there's one point of the spear. You going to one person who's running, one entity who's running everything, and it makes things a little easier on the owner and the client side, where they can say, okay, I have this is who I want to go to, and leverage all of the services that they have in-house to kind of make their lives easier.
Yeah, that makes sense. So if it comes down to speed to market, what you're saying, I think, is that by its nature, the way that you're delivering projects is faster.
Right.
So enter lean. This is, I think, a good opportunity to talk about that and the efficiency or reduction of waste. Let's define lean. What is lean about? What does it mean in particular, applied to the construction industry?
Yeah, so at the heart of it, I mean, the true tenet of lean, whether it's lean construction, lean design, you're just looking for the elimination of wastes and coming up with a more efficient way to execute a project.
Mhm.
There's they like to say there's 7 wastes on a construction project: transportation, inventory, motion, waiting, overproduction, overprocessing, and defects. So rework, constantly moving things around when you're out in the field. Um, just sending out too many raw materials out to the site, or sending out, everything that you need for the project, and just overcrowding the construction area. It's kind of picking up on those wastes and eliminating them in order to, make the process more efficient.
Yep.
We talked previously about how the construction industry, there hasn't been any improvements in efficiencies over, the last 50 to 60 years. So it's trying to find ways to improve on those processes, and utilize all of the new technologies that we have in order to do so.
Yeah, so that's one of the interesting things about it. The more you dig into what lean is all about, what it stands for, it's a lot of things. It's because, to your point, it's more of a philosophy. It's more of a strategy overall than it is any one or set of solutions. So when you look at, practical applications of lean philosophy, lean strategies in your work, give us a few specific success stories that, or start with one. I don't want you to have to weave, but start with a success story that'll paint the picture so that we can really wrap our hands around what you mean.
Well, I'll give you a really good one that was recent. We talked about this a little bit yesterday, but it was a prefabrication of an electrical substation. It was a large substation room. It was, 24 by 50 foot long in 2 sections. One of the sections 96,000 pounds, the other section 36,000 pounds. And before we met yesterday, we were in the process of setting those 2 sections up on the roof on one of our projects. In fact, I was out on that client site yesterday as that was going on. We had to prefabricate that entire substation room in order to get it set and in place, and start. We're about to start executing the shutdowns and switchovers, because we couldn't shut down the existing gear in order to execute all of the electrical scope on the project. We had to essentially add an entire new substation to the project in order to get the shutdowns that we needed, because this is an existing building. It's a vivarium building, so there's operations 24/7. The subjects in that building don't get to work 9 to 5 and go home at the end of the day. There's 24-hour operations. There are ongoing research campaigns that go for multiple years, and we just couldn't afford those interruptions as part of the project.
Yep.
So we talked about thinking outside of the box. That was one of the things where, prefabricating a building substation and putting it on the roof of the building to allow us a little more flexibility was something that, the project wasn't thinking of until we got to the point where, okay, we can't shut anything down. How are we going to overcome this?
That's awesome. So pulling, and which, if you could put your finger on it for us, which are the moments where, if you hadn't had the exposure and training with lean, you may have missed it?
So I would say, not getting, kind of that the old way of thinking of, everybody's kind of siloed, not pulling everybody together in having that big room mentality, which, during COVID, that wasn't something that was always easy to do.
Right.
We were fortunate enough where we were essential employees during COVID, and we were still able to gather together somewhat, but we also utilized, Teams, and other remote technologies to kind of get everybody together. But it that in the field, hands-on, getting the electrical contractor together with the electrical engineer and the construction team and going through it, and whether it was a Teams meeting or trying to get people in person to walk down the facilities, that was important. It's getting the right people in the room.
Yep. Yep. That makes sense. And so it starts with that. It's really it's not just a way of thinking, it's a way of behaving, it's a way of acting and saying to ourselves that it's rooted in the thought that we're one team and that we need to collaborate to create solutions across our different groups. And I mean, what are the most important things to be able to pull that off? Because I'm trying to picture, and I've certainly been a part of it in different environments and on project teams. I'm trying to picture the roadblocks to collective problem solving. What's necessary to pull that off?
Yeah, for us, it's almost second nature because we have all of our services in-house: architecture, engineering, construction management, commissioning. And then it's, you're getting those, you build those relationships with trusted trade partners, and you get the early collaboration with them. When you have, when you're starting with concept and going into BOD, you want to make sure you get involvement from, it's not just the architects and the engineers at that point, the construction teams coming in. You're pulling in your trusted trade partners to get valuable input, and that it's early on in those key stages of a project life cycle where you need to make the decision on what types of things you're going to try and prefabricate. What do you want to make modular? And what are going to be some of the roadblocks, and who's the best to talk about those roadblocks with the people that are going to be doing it in the field.
Yeah.
And that type of collaboration, we live that every day here at Genesis. And just bringing in the trade partners, there's a number of trade partners that we have really good relationships with, that it makes that collaboration a lot easier.
Love it. That's great. And it's, one critical source of waste, if there's something that I see as waste on virtually every project that I get visibility into, there's just an immense amount of waste rooted in leaving the trades out of the process until, of the design process, of the planning process, until so late in the game that they are really stuck with, they're stuck with it. They're stuck with a set of challenges, with a set of problems that then compound. Because if the trades ahead of them haven't resolved potential issues earlier, right, they're left with plans that lack so much coordination that they're really designing it anew as they go, and it turns into a mess.
Right, and that's the key of getting them in early. And the engineers of record will get the design to a point where then it can be handed off to the trade partners, and all that coordination then happens in a 3D model. You start building that 3D model at your 50% design, and then now the shop drawing process has started at the at 50% design if you're going through that coordination, as opposed to completing a full set of construction documents and giving it to the trades to then leave to them to coordinate, all of the other miscellaneous items. It's let them start coordinating early. They have knowledge of the facilities. They've been doing this a long time. It's much more efficient for them to do that coordination than for the engineers to coordinate it and then give it to the trade, the contractors to also coordinate. And then having that 3D model, we've got these 3D model workstations that are actually out in the field, so that the trades are working right off of those workstations. There, you flip open a gang box, it's got a monitor in it, it's got a computer in it, and they got the 3D model up on the screen, up on the open gang box lid, and then you got people are working out of the real-time model, as opposed to somebody's out there with a piece of paper that's bulletin 1 and you're on bulletin 10. It's like, all right, well, here's another waste. You've just created rework for yourself because you got to redo something because you didn't have the most up-to-date documents.
Totally. Yeah, it's so I'm as I work to distill action items and takeaways for the audience. What I've got 3 things that I just want to call out, and then a couple other questions for you. Number 1 is big room. This idea of having a big room. The big room, I think, really refers to inviting everybody who's going to be a part of the conversation into one big conversation about the issues and collectively working on those. Is that right? That's the big room?
and listening to people's ideas and thoughts, and no matter
right,
how
yeah, instead of forwarding your own
outlandish they
agenda.
may be, like take nothing's off the table, right? You whatever, anything you can think of that could potentially help the project. I'll give you an example. This was something that I thought was completely outlandish at the time, but it wound up being a success. Is we put a tower crane on top of an operating building, an operating vivarium. When that idea first came out, I was completely against it. I thought it was absolutely insane. But we went through the steps, and we triple checked everything. We were performing vibration analysis on the steel as we were setting the crane up there and moving the crane around, just to make sure that there was no disruptions to science during the time that it was up there. And then we utilized pool planning in order to expedite the schedule to get that crane off of the roof as quickly as possible. And we prefabricated a lot of the utilities and equipment that was going up on the roof that was being set with that crane in order to execute that. But when that idea was first floated out there, my thoughts were, no way, not on my watch. But
Yeah,
we did it, and it was a big win for the project and the team.
that's awesome. That's so second concept, and it kind of locks in with the first one. But the second takeaway that I want to surface is early collaboration. The earlier, the better. Early collaboration, early coordination. So inviting people into the big room ASAP, as opposed to doing things maybe the old-fashioned way. And then number 3, I've got finding and implementing the right tools to enable or enhance that collaboration. So this is where you're talking about 3D models, and you're talking about give devices that are out on gang boxes, and
Right.
Giving people the tools that lock up with that. And this is where I think a lot of people are getting it wrong. Is that I had a conversation recently with a general contractor, and I was talking about interesting technologies, interesting softwares, and he said, "Man, the last thing I want is more software in this company. The last thing we need is more software in this company." I started laughing. I was like, "But what if it's the right software?" And he goes, "No, you don't get it. Software isn't the solution. Software's it's the tool.
Right.
The solution has to be developed, and then we got to find the
Right.
right software that'll enable us to follow that solution. And that's so smart. It's absolutely spot on. And so the idea isn't, we're going to buy all these softwares. We're going to get all these softwares integrated into our company. That can't be where you start. What you have to start with is these concepts, these pillars of collaboration and communication in the big room, and pool planning, and a series of other different things that we should be doing, and then ask ourselves, what are the appropriate tools? Because sometimes it's a freaking whiteboard, right?
Yep.
And
Yep.
and sometimes it's a piece of paper. But if we're working to eliminate waste, we're probably going to identify the right softwares as a part of that. So I'm going to bring Stacy back here. I'm sure she has some questions from the audience, and some things that we can build on from here. So Stace, what do we have?
So JT Trainer said, which softwares does the company leverage to implement these lean practices?
So right to that point, what softwares do you use?
So
as long as I can start with just the disclaimer that don't start with software.
Yeah. So
yeah,
like I like to say that you've got to learn the fundamentals of math before somebody just gives you a calculator and you start doing it. You have to learn how to, like for instance, pool planning, the fundamental way to do it on a whiteboard with stickies, or on a long wall in a big room with the sticky notes, and figuring out the milestones and making forwards and backwards passes through the schedule. I'm sure a lot of people have done that and not even realized that they were doing pool planning. There's plenty of pool planning software programs out there. We've used a couple of them. They were big help during COVID when people were trying to work remotely. We use we're looking at some 4D scheduling programs that allow you to take the schedule and kind of build the project using animations. So we've got a couple of those that we're looking at utilizing. Virtual reality to allow virtual walkthroughs of the model with whether it's with the end users, with maintenance, so you can help spot things that may require rework, so you're not doing it in the field. I don't know. I don't want to just start naming softwares, but yeah, those are some of the things that we utilize.
Excellent. Yeah, and I'm sitting here like,
I'm not
what would
getting
you
paid by
Google?
any of the software companies.
Right. Yeah, exactly. No free plugs. No, but so you would be looking up 4D scheduling programs coming away from this. You might be looking up virtual pool planning tools.
Yeah.
As an example.
Logistics. There's software out there for logistics and planning that allows real-time field communications for deliveries, so you can schedule all your just-in-time deliveries. That's another one that we're looking at. So, and to be honest with you, there's so many different software programs out there. I recently said I feel like I'm drinking from a fire hose with the number of software programs that we're looking at and trying to implement, and it's like, let's take one bite of the elephant at a time.
Totally agree with you. Software can serve an incredible purpose, but when I take a look at so many construction companies' technology stack of software, I immediately start asking, what percentage of this are we really using?
You gotta get the fundamentals down, and like
I love that example that you got to understand the fundamentals of math before you can actually work a calculator. It's a really good point, and what we should be doing is training and understanding how to do this stuff in the absence of technology, and then overlaying the technologies as it makes sense. It makes all the sense in the world to
me. Right.
Good. What else we got?
Do you have any tips on assigning someone a role with, I guess, you decide a software, or you filter through these companies with different questions you're going to ask them, and then you bring them on board? Do you give that role to somebody in your organization to test out the software for like 30 days, and then you make a decision? Or like, how do you go through that process?
What we'll do is try and like beta test it on a smaller project. and then let the team test it, and then let's work with the company to try and overcome any of the shortfalls, see how we can improve it. Or sometimes it's just it doesn't work out, and we move on to something else. And we're kind of in that stage now where we've got a lot of different things that we're trying to pick and choose from. That we've got a number of, I'll say, pool planning softwares that we're utilizing. Um, Most of what we do for information management is on one system, and what we're trying to do is find things that can uh, bolt on to that program, or are compatible with it. So
Cool.
I'm sure a lot of people know what program that is I'm talking about.
All right. I have a question here that relates to a comment that one of our audience members made. Is do you view what's your view on using pool planning to replace CPM, schedule creation and maintenance?
So it's more of the granular level of the CPM schedule. What you want to do is you want to find the critical path of the project, and then utilize pool planning to try and pull in that critical path, and then go back to the critical path schedule and see if the critical path has changed because you've just now shortened the critical path. They work hand in hand. They don't, one's not a replacement for the other.
Okay, good. Yeah, we agree.
And a lot of times you're trying to pool plan, a duration of the project ahead, whether it's 6 weeks, whether it's 12 weeks, but you're trying to get out ahead of, you're looking at your constraints. What's delivery times? What are your longest lead delivery items? And let's see if we can, start from there and then start to pull it in. And are there ways you can expedite those deliveries? What are some of the constraints that you've come up? There are RFIs that need to be answered. Are there submittals that are going to have a long process to go through?
Yeah, I think it's a great way of putting it. You're describing, to me, you use the term granular. I think that's right. I would also, maybe use the thought of there's the CPM schedule, and then we use pool planning to problem solve and to ensure that is met or beat.
Right.
But what we don't do is pretend like a 3-week look ahead is our CPM schedule. that doesn't do. That's not going to work. So awesome, good stuff. Anything else, Stace, that you want to cover?
Nope. No, I think we covered everything that I can think of.
Awesome. Very good. I have one question, Tom, which is what if somebody was inspired by the conversation that we had today, and if somebody is just sick and tired of the inefficiency that they are experiencing on their projects, whether it's a trade contractor, it's somebody at an A&E firm, or a general contractor, what advice would you give to them to dig in deeper, learn more, and figure out the kinds of skills that would help them to improve using lean?
So I think the first thing I would do is see, is there anything that they're actually already utilizing that can be transformed into a lean process? Like, we talk about pool planning. There's a lot of people that have done scheduling, and you ask somebody if they've done pool planning before, and then you said, have you ever done schedules with a sticky note? And they say, oh yeah, we've done that. All right, so you've already started to do that. There's resources out there. The Lean Construction Institute. We have a Mid-Atlantic community of practice that I'm a part of. That's an excellent resource, the Lean Construction Institute. They have a lot of publications, books, on target value delivery, on transforming construction and design. So that's a good area of resource. Depending on what field they're in, like I said about the pool planning, maybe walk them through something as simple as just a morning huddle, right? Just that's the name of this show. Having a morning huddle and utilizing, what we like to do is we utilize whiteboards with the floor plans on them, and then we have whiteboards that have you talk about schedule and coordination and safety, and it's a 15-minute stand up with the trades. Sometimes you've got the building owners or building maintenance involved in that as well. And it's just, all right, who's going to be where? Are we all on the same page and playing from the same sheet of music? Okay, ready, break.
So here's again, surfacing the takeaways from this conversation. Love it. Take a critical eye to what you're currently doing today and ask yourself, can these things be transformed? Is there waste that we can eliminate? Are there tools that we should be using? But take a critical look at what you're doing and ask yourself, is there anything that can be transformed? Number two, and I'm going out of order, but number two, just start holding a morning huddle with the people associated with your project. 15-minute stand up where everybody talks about what they have going on that day. And that sense of awareness can oftentimes surface opportunities to eliminate waste, to create gains, and to help each other to run a better, more safe work environment. And then number three, if you're really passionate about this stuff, get involved potentially in the Lean Construction Institute. Stacy shared the link in the chat. That's something that people can check out and educate themselves further, join peer communities, and start to apply concepts that will make your projects better.
Right.
Does that summarize, Tom?
Yeah, and I think the important thing is start small. Pick one thing to try and transform instead of trying to flip the whole project on its ear. Like we talked about, starting with a morning huddle. Just pick one thing and then let it grow organically from there. And also, if anybody wants to, they can feel free to reach out to me. I could talk about this all day. Sort of.
Awesome. And he has nothing going on, so you can really just reach out to Tom anytime.
I'm completely bored.
He's got nothing. As long as you're comfortable with a little depression today, post Eagles loss, but you try to spot a Monday after an Eagles win. Give Tom a call. It'll be a great discussion.
That's all right. The last time they were 8-1, they won the Super Bowl.
Oh, see, there it is. I love it. Isn't it great when you start pulling random statistics here? And hey, look, I'm sorry about the World Series loss. Really sorry about the World Series loss, but I think the economy thanks you, if I understand that correctly.
I think so. That's, as history indicates.
Yeah. If anybody doesn't know, look that one up. All right, Tom, thank you so much for joining. We really appreciated having you. I look forward to future conversations with you on the huddle and off, my friend. It was good to get to know you through this.
Yeah, man, appreciate it. Thanks a lot. It was a lot of fun, and I'd definitely be up for doing it again.
All right,
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tom.
Yeah.
All right,
Stace, let's do some cleanup. Let's bat some cleanup here. First things first. We're like rapidly approaching the end of this season. We have 2 episodes left in season 3 before we take a break through the month of December. And we're not actually 100% sure what date we're coming back, but it'll be the winter. We'll be back this winter at some point. But next week, I'm really excited for the conversation. We're going to be having my good friend and developer, Mead Rhodes, on, who is going to be talking about really what matters to a developer, and in his case in particular, an affordable housing developer, when it comes to forging a strong general contractor partnership. So we'll be hearing from that side of the equation next week, which I think will be great. I hope that our audience joins in force and asks all the tough questions of an affordable housing developer. Mead, I would love to watch my buddy tap dance and handle those questions. That'll be a lot of fun. So we have that coming up. Stacy, do we have a Steel Toe
Wait, you
Communications
missed one
marketing
more.
of the week?
And then the 29th, we have Kathy Hum joining us.
Another awesome human.
Last episode of this season, yeah.
Yeah, and Kathy is going to be coming on to talk about how HR is not just, ho hum HR if we're doing it right, but how HR is strategic for a construction firm, and no matter what your size, how you should be thinking about HR strategically. That'll be a really valuable conversation. I'm craving a marketing tip. Stacy, what do you got?
Yeah, so I sent out a poll a couple days ago, holiday planning. I just want you to be a little bit more strategic and when it comes to holiday planning. And one of the things that when I work with my clients, the biggest thing is to make sure that you have a current list of people that you're working with the past year or two. The emails are updated, the contacts are updated. Make sure to get that list out to your PMs or project engineers ahead of time. So you can get them their holiday card, whether it's print, that seems to be popular, email, make sure you have the right contact information. That's completely key. And when you're thinking about gifts, personalization is the best way to go. It's more memorable. Also consider maybe get your gift out early or later. So maybe November or January. Don't wait until the rush of everyone getting out gifts. I remember a PM had once sent me a picture. He was on a job site with a GC, and there was just tons of baskets, and they all looked the same. And our little basket just was so tiny compared to everybody else. And it's like, that's not memorable. And everyone's getting, and there's so much waste there too. Everyone's getting treats at the same time.
Sure.
So think about gift giving at a different time, and
Love
you'll
it.
stick out a little bit more.
I love it. That's a great idea. Thank you, Stacy.
Sure.
All right, cool. Guys, I think that covers it for today. One thing that I did want to mention is that what Tom was talking about, really does require teams to operate effectively as one unit. And his firm, Genesis AEC, has the benefit of having really a lot of the responsibilities under one roof, where they are actually one company, so it's not theoretically as hard to actually act that way. But something that I spend a lot of my time doing is team building. And if anybody is listening to this and thinking we have team issues, I would love to chat with you about what's going on and see if there's any opportunity to help. It relates so much to what we talked about today. Like I say, if anybody's dealing with it, we should talk. So, Stacy, I'll see you next week.
Yep.
Thanks again to Tom. Thanks to the audience. Thank you so much for joining us as always. Please spread the word. See ya.
Have a great one. See ya.